Hello, this is Laura from the Cozy Chipmunk. Today I'm going to show you how to make the bead stitch. To start with the bead stitch, you're going to need a row of already completed stitches. In this case, I have a foundational half double crochet, but it's whatever you want to have as your previous row of stitches. You do, however, need to make sure that you are utilizing an even number of stitches for creating this, as each bead stitch works across 2 stitches from your previous row. So I'm going to take my crochet hook and the piece I'm working on, and I'm going to start by making a chain 3. In this case, this chain 3 counts as a stitch, but make sure to refer to the pattern you are following to see whether it is used as a stitch or not. Because my chain 3 counts as a stitch, I'm not going to work into the top of the stitch that is below it, but instead I'm going to start my bead stitch in the following stitch. To start the bead stitch, I'm going to make 1 double crochet. So I yarn over, stick my hook through the top of the stitch, yarn over, pull through. Going to yarn over, pull through 2 stitches, then yarn over and pull through 2 more. Now I'm ready to start making my actual bead stitch out of this post. I'm going to yarn over, and keeping my tension loose, I take my hook and stick it behind the post of the double crochet, yarn over, and pull through. I should have 3 stitches on my hook now. I'm going to yarn over again, take my hook behind that same double crochet, yarn over, pull through. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches on my hook. I'm going to yarn over one more time at the front. This is why it's important that it's a loose or tension, so I can reach around once more to yarn over and pull through and back around. So now I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 loops on my hook. Now, carefully, I'm going to yarn over once more at this point, and I'm going to pull through all but the final stitch on my hook. And this is where it can be easy to lose your stitches, so be very careful. So I've pulled through all but the last, so now I have 2 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over again and pull through these final stitches. And I've completed my bead stitch. Now when I look at the top of the bead stitch, there are 2 stitches. So that means that when I'm working in the opposite direction or in the following row, I'm not missing out on stitches. Now, this bead stitch is fairly wide across, so that means that the following stitch beside it we are going to skip, so nothing works into there. And I'm going to continue by making another bead stitch. So I yarn over, making sure I skip that next stitch, and work into the following stitch. Stick my hook through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. I now have a double crochet stitch. Now I'm going to complete my bead stitch. Yarn over, making sure I have a loose amount of yarn behind my double crochet, yarn over, through, 3 stitches or 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, back around, and pull through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops on my hook, yarn over, and I'm going to do a 3rd and final time, yarn over, pull through. So when I'm making the bead stitch component, after I have my double crochet, I'm always going to be working around a total of 3 times, and I should have 7 stitches or 7 loops rather, on my hook. So I have 7 on my hook. Going to yarn over and very carefully pull through all but the loop on my hook that is closest to the handle. So now I have 2 loops on my hook. So doing that makes the first top stitch of my bead stitch. So now I'm going to close up my bead stitch by yarning over and pulling through. Then I remember to skip the following stitch in the row below. Continue on making all of my subsequent bead stitches across. And it really is important to make sure that you do have a loose tension while you're working across. So I'm going to give myself a little slack. This does use a fair amount of yarn to make this stitch. And I also find that when you use the bead stitch, it really shortens up the length of what you're doing. So if you're making a pattern for yourself, be aware that this might shorten up whatever you're working on. So you might want to give yourself some extra length in the row below if you're designing a scarf or a blanket. So I find sometimes, depending on the yarn, it might be tight or pull up at the top of the double crochet, but that's okay, I can fix that. So now I have worked across. Imagine that I've worked across a larger piece. I have my first stitch, which is 3 chain 3. I have each of my bead stitches. I have this final skip stitch, and then I'm going to finish off the row with a double crochet. Now obviously you'll want to refer to your particular pattern to make sure that their instructions for how to finish off this row are the same. They may be different. If you're working in the round, it may be different as well. So make sure you check that. And that is how you make a bead stitch. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe for future cozy content.